absolutely love technology, don't we, Cathy?
Oh my gosh.
It looks like we color coordinated here. I love your outfit. That's so cool. That's so cool. So whether people are joining us live or watching the recording, this is Debbie Salviano, my dear guest, Cathy Bissell, with me today. I'm so pumped. I say that every time, but it's true. Cathy does incredible work, and I'm just so excited to visit with you, Cathy, and let you tell more people about your story and all the incredible things you do. So if you're on, please leave your name and your comments and tell us who you are and what you do so that we can see that and where you're tuning in from. Now, Cathy, tell us what city you're in, what state.
I'm in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So that's where the Bissell Pet Foundation is. Bissell headquarters is there. So that's our hometown.
Very nice. What is your weather today? I always ask the weather. People laugh at me about this.
It's actually beautiful today.
Oh, nice, nice.
We're still cold here in Michigan, but it's absolutely beautiful.
But spring is on the way. So Debbie Sardone is joining us 10,000 feet in the air. She's flying. So thank you for joining, Debbie. Debbie does an incredible job. Debbie owns Debbie Sardone Consulting, but she started Cleaning for a Reason, which is an organization where owners of residential cleaning companies provide free house cleaning to women undergoing treatment for cancer. So she does incredible work. So I want the two of you to meet, actually. So anyway, so I'm going to get started because I know everyone's anxious to hear all about what you do and everything. And like I said, this will be recorded, so it'll stay live on there and you can continue watching it when it's here. But I always like to get the back end story. So Cathy, we see the pictures of you with the pets at the shelters during the hurricanes and everything else. But how did you get involved with the pets and start Bissell Pet Foundation? I think that's important.
Oh, it really was just out of love of animals. And I had never been to a shelter my entire life. Hurricane Katrina hit. And I wanted to help in any way I could because a lot of animals were coming into Michigan. And so that was the first time I stepped into a shelter. And then I started touring shelters and people were like, how can you help us? What can we do? And I didn't know how we could help, but just thinking about the things we could do to help shelters, selling products, keeping pets in home. And it just started as a non-operational foundation, just giving away money. But then more boots on the ground, more understanding of the needs, and we became an operational foundation.
Very impressive, very impressive. Well, everyone knows Bissell. See, it's funny. I was going to say Bissell Pet Products, which is true, but everyone knows Bissell Products. But now I think so many more know it because of Bissell Pet Foundation. So kudos to you. One of the things, you and I met several years back when Linda and Stacy and I, when we were doing different things with Women's Leadership Live, and you were gracious enough to be in the magazine and talking about the Pet Foundation and Joe Packham's magazine. And we've stayed in touch since then. But what a lot of people don't know about Bissell is that y'all had, now this is one of those cool facts, y'all. They had the first female CEO in the country, Mrs. Anna Sutherland Bissell. So what a legacy. So talk about that a little bit. How's her legacy still live on? And, just the history of that.
She was pretty amazing. I'm not sure anybody could quite match her today. When her husband died at a young age and they had started Bissell Company, and it was a carpet sweeper company, all the big guys wanted to buy her out, and she said no. And so she was really adamant about running and owning the business and keeping it going. But on top of that, she was really incredible because she helped women. And she actually would invite abused women into her home, sometimes with their children. So she was a pretty unique person way back in the day.
Now, she also, didn't she have like 5 children?
She did, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I don't know all of their names, but yes, she was just a trailblazer and really a strong woman, first woman CEO of any major corporation in the country.
That's a huge legacy. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge legacy. And this was in the 1800s, so it's not like it was yesterday. And I'd like to say we've come a long way, baby. We've got some ways to go, but at least there's progress. So hello, Mr. Preston. Preston is a dear friend of mine who lives in Texas, and you'll love this, Cathy. He has a Annette Shinsky with Shelters Pet Advocacy Network in Rosenberg, Texas, and Mary Jansen on with him to watch this. So they wanted to kind of hear more about what you do and some different things like that. So thank you so much, Preston. So now, didn't Anne develop products as well for Bissell?
She worked with her husband on the carpet sweeper. That was their first product.
So she was instrumental in the very beginning of it.
She was. And she had a crockery shop, and they came up with a carpet sweeper, one that could push forward and backwards. And then they both sold door to door, went around, went to Wanamaker's, and, you know, she was selling the product, saying this is a great product. So yeah.
She went door to door back in the day. I mean, think about that. That was trailblazing.
Yep.
So she's kind of started that legacy of the products and helping with that. So talk about that a little bit, about what products you've introduced with Bissell, because I think Bissell has the reputation for selling the most products to pet owners.
Yes. Well, you know, we have a really good team. I wish I could take credit for everything, but I can't. I mean, the engineers and the team at Bissell, everybody owns pets. So we use our own pets to test our product at the company. We have pets, you know, in the company. So we do a lot of pet testing, and we are centered. We are totally centered on pets.
That is just, yeah, because you go to the website now and you actually see that's a huge part of the company, the work you do, and et cetera. So now you've been very, very successful in your quest to end homelessness for cats and for dogs. And I think 150,000 plus pets have been adopted, 280,000 spayed and neutered.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, unfortunately, but it is large in such a short time, and it's growing. We saw this need, and we actually a year ago hired a vet, and she is licensed in 7 states, and she is just rotating in and out of shelters and working to spay neuter the shelter pets as well as community pets at no cost to them. Bissell Pet Foundation is paying for people because people just can't find vets right now to get their pets spayed or neutered. So we're doing everything we can.
And she's 7 states, you said. In a lot of these areas, rural areas especially, they don't have the resources to have a vet.
No, a lot of them, well, we find that they do have a vet nearby somewhere, but the vets are expensive. So for us, it's really important to be able to have low cost and no cost for so many.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're working with vets as well in states who have practices to provide a voucher for people who can't necessarily afford the total cost of
nice. That's a huge, what a cool job for her. I love that. That's a neat thing to be. Yeah.
She's everywhere.
That is so awesome. Now you just had a big project, Empty the Shelters. Tell us about that.
Okay, so this is the most life-saving tool that we have, because getting pets into from shelters into homes is what needs to happen. So more pets can come into the shelters. We can save more lives. So Empty the Shelters, this last 2 weeks, it just ended on Monday. And the numbers, nobody knows this, so I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, nice. We get the scoop.
The early indication is that over 17,000 pets were adopted in this 2-week period. And typically it used to be dogs, and then cats kind of took over, but we are seeing a comeback with dogs in this particular event, which is really exciting because they take up the most room at the shelters, and we need to get them in homes again. So they're at risk. Cats are right now, they're low on cats across the country. That's because of neuter and because people are really staying on top of TNR. However, dogs no. So this is exciting. And we think we'll come up to about 18,000, 19,000 with this event.
That is, congratulations. That's they talk about a team effort. That's a huge team effort.
Yes.
I think it's one of those things, I think people are better educated, but having a dog or cat spayed or neutered is, our daughter, we've got barn cats. And so anytime they come on the property, she always wants she can get them because, you know, they're kind of wild in the beginning, puts them in a crate, takes them down and gets them taken care of so they don't have kitties running around. It's so sad that people don't do that.
Not everybody can afford the access to care because it's quite expensive today. So it's looking for the low-cost spay-neuter facilities for people and getting an appointment as soon as possible and taking your pet in to get your pet spayed or neutered because, you know, it's expensive to have puppies.
Yeah. Oh, and unfortunately, sometimes, So thank you for the work that you do with that, because that's huge. Now, during the hurricane, it kind of goes back a little bit, but you've had some during serious weather crisis across the country, y'all have really come in and intervened. Maybe tell us a story or so about one of those situations. I find that work fascinating that y'all do.
Well, last year, I believe it was Hurricane Ian hit the coast of Florida, and we were preparing for it to hit, I believe it was Citrus County. So we had moved all the pets out of that shelter to make room for people who might lose their home, or pets that are being picked up on the street after the hurricane. So we moved a lot of pets into Alabama, and just in preparation. But the hurricane turned in Florida, and it went in a completely different direction, and we hit Lee County. I believe it was Lee County. So now all of a sudden that shelter was full. We worked really hard. We were able to move out 501 dog out of the state of Florida that were in shelters, because we kept emptying shelters nearby to assist with the hurricane animals being found. As people lost their homes,
Yes,
couldn't keep their pets, and pets had to go into shelters for holding. How tragic, right?
well, it's so tragic. I mean, it makes you, it's, yeah, can't even fathom.
I mean, it's really sad. And we were able to save the lives of so many pets that were already sitting in shelters, not moving, because Florida had full shelters. All those pets went on to find homes because we moved them out because of the hurricane. That's a pretty heartwarming story. I
That
mean,
is a beautiful story. How when you say move, I mean, is that how was that done? I mean, like in that case, how did y'all move them out? I mean, is it? I can't even fathom 501 dogs and animals. I mean,
well, it was quite costly to us. So at first we started with ground transport because we were on the ground. But then once the hurricane hit, the roads were so bad and so much, destruction, that we had to fly. We had to get charter flights.
oh my God.
So this was a very costly thing for us. And we were just so fortunate that we had some big donors step up. But, if they didn't step up, it would have been tragic.
Oh my God.
It was tough. It was really tough. And the cost of doing these flights to these different states that took in all these dogs. I mean, that's a lot of dogs for 1 month.
That's a lot of dogs. And of course, all sizes. They're not all little. I mean, I've seen the pictures.
Oh, they were big. There were a lot of pit bulls. A lot of big dogs were saved, which was great.
It's interesting. I never thought about that until just now talking to you. Do y'all offer any kind of check sheet or tip sheet or guidance or counseling on for just, for people to know, here's what to plan for if you have, just for example, we live in the country. We have horses and we have goats. We have a bunch of dogs. We have a plan. If there was a fire, if there was something that needed to be done, how to transport, because the trailer's not going to take all the horses. So there's a plan in place to know what to do. I give credit to my daughter and son-in-law for that, Tawny and Bill. But do you ever tell people that? Because I didn't think about that till just now. Do people know what to do?
We have disaster training, and we do have a disaster team now, but we don't really put that up because I think the states tell people to evacuate, and when they say it's an evacuation time, people need to evacuate and take their pets. A lot of people it's tragic. They tie their pets up to a tree in their yard and say, fend for yourself. You can't do that. You really need to take your pet with you, or put your pet somewhere at a shelter where it can be safe.
Yeah, we wouldn't leave without the animals. We wouldn't. That's why we have a plan in place. I mean, if it, because we would not, I mean, I guarantee you my daughter would not leave her dogs. No, I mean, she wouldn't leave.
And I think we saw that during Hurricane Katrina. That was the first major hit in a long time, and people would not leave their pets.
Yeah.
And it became a big problem. So now their evacuation does include taking pets out, but some people still don't do it, and it's tragic.
Oh my gosh, I can't even fathom.
Yeah.
But that is a tearjerker, though. I can't, I've said that to you before when we've talked about this in the past, but what you see and what the shelter people see, I think, talk about unsung heroes. I mean,
I will tell you that the Bissell Foundation, we see a lot. And it's very hard to unring the bell that you see. And it is, you can take it to your heart. Like, I dream about what I see. But for the people in shelters, they really see a lot. I mean, they're seeing it all the time, and they have to deal with it. Like, I can see it and I hear about it, but then I can try to close my mind to it. They can't. Yeah. And that's why we want people to understand, like, right now, so many people are giving up their pets because of housing. It's not COVID related. Right. It's housing related. It's insurance companies saying no pets. And so they don't have an option because they have nowhere to live. So they have to give their pets up. And the sad thing is that these are pets that sleep on couches, are your best friend, and these people have no options, and they're taking their pets to the shelters in tears.
Oh my God. It'd be like giving up a well, you are giving up a family member. I mean, there's no other way. And some people, that's the only family they have, especially elderly people. I mean, that's their companion every day.
Yep. And they're forced because of housing.
Yeah. Oh,
So unfortunately, we're trying to tell people, like, take a second look at a shelter pet before you buy a pet from a pet store or buy a pet online. Go to a shelter. There are phenomenal, and there's every type of dog you could want.
yeah. I hope you can't hear the train, but you probably can. Okay, good. I'm traveling and I'm in a hotel and there's a train that goes through every 15 minutes. We're kind of out in the country. So anyway, yeah, some sad stories. Now, one of the things I really admire about Bissell, companies today recognize the importance of being socially responsible, if you will, by giving back. What y'all do really is a beacon to the commitment for the Bissell Pet Foundation. So when you go to the Bissell, see, I always want to say Pet Foundation, you go to Bissell website, it's front and center. How does that help expand your reach and your work? Because it's there. Bissell does an incredible job of promoting the Pet Foundation.
They do. It's great because we hope that people realize that when we make products, we are testing for pets. That is our number one. So, I mean, honestly, if you can get something out of the carpet or, on your floors that a pet's created, children are going to be easy. Right. So we test for pets, and that's why it works so well. I mean, we do make products that clean up after pets, and I'm a proud user. I have 6 dogs in my house, and sometimes with my kids' dogs, I can have up to 10. Wow. And my carpets are beautiful and clean. And yes, I do have a lot of accidents, but I never stress.
So let me ask you, because don't you have like 5 or 6 labs? Aren't they primarily black labs?
They used to be, but as I work in the shelters, I find that I'm going to take whatever animal needs me. I have a lot of dogs now that have systemic disease or cancer. And I do love the black labs, but, and I see them all the time, but I pray, I push them out to my friends, like, this gorgeous black lab is here, or this yellow lab. I do love the labs, but you know what? I love them all. I have a pit bull. I love them all.
I bet when you call your friends, that's so funny when you said that. I bet when you pick up your phone and you say, "Do you have just a minute, Carol?" that they know what's coming.
They do. There are certain people, like if 2 labs come in together, then I call certain people, like, could you take these 2 together? Because they've been together forever, but housing might be a problem. Right. And so the owners have to give them up. Oh. And they are lifelong siblings, or a mother and a child.
Yeah. So. Do you work with, I have some friends who, I'm trying to think of what they call it, but where they keep the pet until it can be taken. Rescue, that's what it is. Do you do any work with anyone individually for people being, caring for them until they can be taken out, or just?
So, I would love to. We do what we can. I do it with only friends because the need is so big. Yeah. I can't, I've got to stay focused, and I work mainly with the shelters.
That's a really good example because it's so easy to get off track, but you're wise to stay focused because you have the shelters. They do incredible work with you. There's so many commercials on TV these days about pets, because we all love our pets and everyone has a pet, right? And I joke, I always say, if you want to post something online and get attention, do a pet or do a baby, because those are the 2 things that are going to get attention. We all love our pets. Are there any food products that y'all recommend with Bissell, or that you think people should buy from that support Bissell Pet Foundation? Do you have any?
We have not partnered with any food products. No. So I can't say that.
Intentionally?
What I like to do, I'm making my own food at this point. I do use some kibble with it, but I do kind of make my own because I'm experimenting. Yeah. I have dogs that have had, like I said, systemic disease or cancer. And I just am reading a book called The Forever Dog, and it's talking about dog food and the health of humans and pets. And so I'm thinking that, I'm going to test it myself.
Well, it's interesting because, as I told you, our daughter has, and our granddaughter, we have 7 dogs on the property, and 2 of them, the food's made for them. They're Yorkies and they have tummy issues and they're old, and she makes the food for them every day. And I think a lot of people probably do that. And then our son has fresh. He has a lab, a black lab. He has fresh meat delivered to the house. I don't know what it is.
Oh,
Something
from
like
one of the
yes. Yes, which shows you the commitment people have to their pets. To your point, I mean,
Yep.
there's just no doubt about it. I mean, for sure. So, um, how do you help educate people when it comes to getting their dogs at a shelter versus the puppy farms? I've got some good friends who have gotten their pets from shelters, and which everyone recommends, obviously, because you don't want to support a puppy farm. And people don't realize what goes on in those places. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific.
Yep.
But how do you educate people to let them know that to go to the shelters?
The best thing that we created was empty the shelters.
Yeah.
Because we push it out on the media and it gets people excited and their cost of adoption is lower. The pets have been spayed and neutered. They've had all their vaccines. You know what you're getting when you go to the shelter because they can tell you about the pet. And we just say that's the best way to do it. And we push it out in media. We still, I even have friends that still buy dogs and I just don't understand it. It breaks my heart. Because if you love animals, why wouldn't you save a life?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you just keep going to a shelter till you see what you want? And there's so many shelters. I go to a shelter. I can go to 3 in a day, and I can tell you I want to take home the majority.
I was going to say, does your husband say, don't go today?
Oh yeah, no. He says if you bring another pet home, that's it.
It's the dogs or it's me.
Yeah.
That I think though too with that, a lot of times people don't realize just how bad the puppy farms are. They don't realize what goes on, and they just put it out of the side of their mind, and they ignore it, and so that way they can justify it.
Yep. People justify what they want, and unfortunately, if they knew the cruelty that takes place for the breeding parents that are stuck there, who never get medical, who never get even sometimes drugs for when they're delivering babies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrific. Honestly, I don't even want to talk about it because it's so sad.
It's terrible. Well, it's interesting. I do give our younger generation a huge kudos and shout out because our youngest granddaughter, she's in college, and she literally quit shopping at the big box pet stores, and I won't name them. Everybody knows who they are. She quit shopping there, and she told me that she quit shopping there because they sell puppies from puppy farms. And so I thought to and this girl spends a fortune on her pets. And I thought to myself, let me rephrase that. My son spends a fortune on her pets. But she quit doing business with them for that very reason. So I think younger people are starting to educate the rest of us, and they won't do business with them. And the bottom line hurts, they'll stop.
Yep, the bottom line. My son said to me, if you're more honest to people and show them pictures of these dogs and say they're going to be euthanized at the end of the week, younger generation would say, we're not going to allow that to happen. So hopefully this next generation that comes through really does make a difference for animals. I mean, I'm counting on them. I'm counting on them.
Well, and with the younger, like you and I wouldn't say the name of the big box stores, right? I wouldn't say it, even though we all know who they are. But younger generation, they'll say it because she has about what she thinks about those places, and she'll tag them and she'll let people know what she thinks. It was really cute because she wanted her first dog when she was young was a French bulldog. They're very popular. Well, she got it from a breeder, and this is when she was 3. Her mom got it. Well, after that, when she started growing up, she realized what was going on, so she wouldn't buy those anymore. So she was searching the shelters for one. And so she found one, and they took a picture of it. And so when they went to pick it up, her response was, they have a really good marketing team because it really wasn't so much a French bulldog. She took the pet and loves it, but it was cute because, so I heard one. I heard it's a big one there.
That's a big one. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I think it's great.
Them all to be quiet, and they're not.
I told them they should be in the video with you. But I think that they will be our best assets and our best advocates for letting people know what's going on. And do you think it's getting better or worse when it comes to the shelters? Is it improving what you're seeing? I mean, the storms and the crises are different, but just on a day to day.
So right now, unfortunately, we're going backwards, and it's because of the housing crisis and access to veterinary care. So that's the problem.
Yeah. See, I didn't know about the housing. I didn't think about that because our granddaughters, the youngest one at NYU, she took her 2 gerbils with her. She didn't take her dog because it wouldn't have been fair to the dog, but she took her 2 gerbils. She had to pay extra for the gerbils, but she got to have them. Our youngest one, our other one, she has an apartment. She just pays an extra fee for her dog. So the ones they've been in the apartments lets them pay a fee. But you're saying that they just can't even take them.
A lot of places have switched. Yeah, from what we're hearing, that's part of this housing crisis. And it's sad because the shelters are filling up and they go through cycles. Like I'll be talking to shelters and they'll say, we had a huge amount of people drop their dogs off this week. And it's all to do with housing. You know, some it might, they're moving or whatever it is. But yeah, it's tragic. So right now, shelters are extremely full.
Okay.
They're extremely full. So you can really find, like sometimes people say, can you find me a golden retriever? I don't do that for everybody. So don't call me.
Yeah, don't call Cathy. Ask her for a particular
Honestly, I could make a call out and I can find, 5 or 6 golden retrievers in a day.
Yeah.
And it's, do you like the lighter? Do you like the more red? And they're full bred golden retrievers. Right. And some are puppies. I mean, it's just not hard to find the pet you're looking for.
Well, that's what Madison did. She literally, because again, younger generation, that's what they're going to do. She went on social and she went on digital and she looked at the shelters and found and they've done such a good job of putting the pets pictures up and letting you see. So she found what she wanted. She just did the research herself. Tell us how Empty the Shelters works. How does that process work? And what is that? What do you do?
So we make an announcement that it's coming. We talk to all the shelters in advance. We have huge meetings. We actually have the wrap-up meeting today. So they'll all be excited to learn the numbers. And we talk to them in advance. And then we say you can charge anywhere from $0 to $50 a pet. It's their call. They adopt out the exact same way. So we're not giving them rules for adoption. It's exactly however they do it that works for them. They can refuse anybody if they want. They can do whatever they need to do. And we supplement some of the income for the adoption. So per dog we give, and it's pretty easy to do the math for us, and you'll find this interesting. We give them $50 a dog, no matter what they charge. So they may charge $50 and then they get $100 for that dog, which most shelters are $250, but some shelters are happy to just move the dogs because they're not moving. So they may charge $10. But we'll give them $50 a dog and $20 a cat. And this already for this particular Empty the Shelters is way up there in cost. Yeah. We partnered this time with a group called Dogtopia. And they have been fantastic because they wait after 30 days of the dog being in your home. Then the dog, if you have a Dogtopia in your area, can go to a week's free, not dog class, but dog camp while you're at work. Oh, and it's a phenomenal. My kids take their dogs to Dogtopia. So when they called me out of Arizona, we're in Michigan, I was like, what a great idea. That helps people understand how to keep the pets in their home. Keep them active, exercise your pet, and your pet will be good. Yeah. I mean, I have not misfits because my dogs are beautiful, but they've all have been sick or had problems, starving, whatever it is. They all get along and they all get lots of exercise and lots of love, and they're good dogs.
I think something a lot of times people panic when like our daughter and son-in-law, they have 4 dogs in their house. And then our granddaughter, she has 3 in hers. People panic when it's more than one. They think, oh, they're not going to get along. Your first dog, I remember the black lab that was such a beautiful, just a gorgeous. He trained the others, right? I mean, don't you always have an alpha that's going to train the rest?
Yeah, but that dog that was adopted, I had 2 other black labs, and he came in. He was so regal and beautiful. He was my first shelter dog, and he just fit in beautifully. But they gave him the ropes. She doesn't like you to get up on the furniture. She's not going to like this. You're going to have to, whatever it was. And honestly, he fit in beautifully. I never have taught my dogs really anything. All the dogs that have been here beforehand, they teach. So right now, this is really great. I have a feral dog living with me. Oh. He was shot in Louisiana through his leg with a bullet. So he has 2 bullets in him, one in his femur, one in his back. I had the surgery, but he's petrified of anything. He was bone thin and just very sick. And he's afraid of everyone. And he actually fits in with my pack. He kisses everyone in the morning, and he's becoming a dog. And honestly, it is the most rewarding thing. I think everybody should understand what it's like to bring in a dog that really is grateful and see how it changes your life. Even my husband's telling me, well, we can't keep that dog, but I don't know.
First one to say.
I mean, this dog is so cute, but I've never taught the dog anything. The dog knows all the rules, and he's adorable.
Well, it's interesting. Bill Hale was going to be on this live. He had a business call at the last minute that he had to take, but he had rescued Bob. He had been dropped off in the country, part pit bull and part lab, been dropped off in the country and had been hurt, broken leg. Long story, terrible, terrible. So his daughter went and picked up the dog. The shelter let her have him because they knew her, and he brought him home. We're just going to get him well and then let him, go back. Well, Bob lives there, and Bob is literally, he's a beautiful, beautiful dog. But same thing, he was scared to death, he just so jumpy because he'd been abused. And now he's, king of the hill. He's a beautiful dog and really gets along well with the family. So there's some great stories with the shelter pets. Yeah, I just wish people would all know that those puppy farms and there's alternatives, What have I not asked you that you want to share? Anything about Bissell Pet Foundation or?
No, but I just that people should make sure that they spay or neuter their pet to please help prevent all these unwanted babies, because with the puppy mills producing hundreds and thousands of pets a year, even they're starting to euthanize. So they're breeding for people, but finding out that everybody's full or the housing market is tough. And people need to understand, if you purchase from a puppy miller, then you are just continuing the circle, right? And the only way to stop is not to buy. And so right now there's a lull for them as well. And I don't know what people think happened to those dogs when they get a little bit older, but they don't make it out of the puppy mill, and they don't make it into a family. So people have to understand it's only about the money, and why not try and go save a life at a shelter before you purchase a pet? Yeah. Because from a puppy mill or online, and that online, I always say puppy mills come in all shapes and disguises. So they tell you, oh, this is my cute little dog. No, I only have 1 or 2 litters. If you cannot meet the mother and see where these babies are in the living conditions, do not buy the pet. Yeah. Because they will tell you anything you want to hear so that you buy that pet from them. Absolutely. So people have to be aware and be cautious.
Now, people can donate to Bissell Pet Foundation, correct?
Oh, yes. Are you kidding? I'm
going across the feed here.
Yes, please donate and help us, because we are growing. We actually have a really great project coming up. Okay. We're working with a group in Puerto Rico, and we are going to be spaying and neutering in Puerto Rico. We're setting it up. So they have over 500,000 dogs on the island, and we're going to take 2 weeks out of our time with our vet here and our team, and we're working to get other teams organized to join us, and we're going to be in Puerto Rico spaying and neutering under a Bissell Pet Foundation project. So if anybody cares about giving to that, please go to BissellPetFoundation.org. We have a drop down. We have, disaster and crisis. They can do spay neuter. They can do adoption, whatever they want to, if they want to direct their money. And sometimes when people lose a pet, you might want to even make a donation in honor of somebody's pet.
That's also a nice gift. Yeah, that may be what you were saying, but to give to someone else that they lost a pet, you can give. That's a great idea.
And their pet lives on forever because you're doing something in memory of them.
That's so nice. For my birthday last year, I did Bissell Pet Foundation. You know how you can raise money on Facebook? I think that's such a simple way to do that. And again, I don't know anyone who doesn't, love their pets, to say the least, to do good things about it. So I hope people do that. How many, you have like 6,000 shelters you partner with, Cathy?
Yes, almost 6,000.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that we always are there. I mean, if they call us for an emergency, we try to respond any way we can. But it doesn't mean that we're like doling out money to all these shelters. Like, we have Empty the Shelters, so they get money through that and through our programs. But we also send out a lot of information to them and best practices and things that are going on in different parts of the country. So it's an absolute we're a learning tool for them as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, so do shelters come and apply to be part of your program, or?
Okay. They apply. Yep.
That's how they, okay.
Anywhere from 3 to 6 months, just because we're so busy. But, we want to do our homework on the shelter, make sure that they're legit and that we're working with, because not every shelter is legit. Not every organization is well run. So we want to make sure that it's, a well run operation.
You do your due diligence. Can people volunteer to help, or would they volunteer through the shelter, like your Puerto Rico project?
No, they would volunteer through their shelter. That is a very controlled project. As much as we'd love to have everybody come, it's pretty controlled just because it's a 1 week of spay neuter, 2 weeks of setup. So we're pretty set for that. But I think if people could go to their shelter, take their kids and help their local shelters too. It's a big thing. And walk the dogs, pet the cats, read to them. Children love it, and it educates them and brings them up with the understanding that, wow, I haven't met a kid that hasn't gone for a school project and come back to their parent and said, there was a dog there that I want, or a cat. That's exactly what we want to teach our kids.
Exactly.
They're wonderful animals in shelters that need to be brought home and loved.
Yeah, we have to educate our children, and taking them with those experiences is a perfect way to do that. Well, Cathy, as always, I can't tell you, Linda and Stacy said to say hello, how much I appreciate you doing this and sharing with everyone. And it'll stay live on my LinkedIn page, and I'll send you recording as well. But I just so value you
so much. I appreciate it. Great to see you, and thanks for advocating for BPF and all our work. I really appreciate it.
Always, my friend. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and everyone have a fabulous day. God bless. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.